On the couch right now, we got literally one of the nicest pens in the history of hip hop music. He, along with his partner, Mr. Hutchins, has also contributed to classics that help weave the tapestry of hip hop as we know it. I'd like to welcome you and all of you to our guest on the show, the one and only Ecstacy of Whodini. Make some noise for him, y'all. Hello, sir. No doubt. Thank you so very much for being here with us this evening.
My pleasure.
Man, I meant exactly what I said. Like, you guys you along with your partner in rhyme and in crime, you know what I'm saying, have crafted some wonderful, wonderful hits for hip hoppers such as myself and those in our audience. Some would even compare you guys to literally, you guys are doing the Philly International thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, as far as like penning songs, penning tunes for us to listen to. One, I like to try and take this back as far to the beginning as possible. Where are you from?
I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Mm-hmm.
The projects, White Car projects in Brooklyn. Jalil hung out a lot in Gawana's projects, which both projects were close in proximity, and we were in rival groups.
Okay.
And so we used to kind of like serenade the streets during the summertime. We used to bring musical DJ equipment out to the parks, the projects, and play music and get on the mic and rap.
Okay.
He was a popular rapper in his group, and I was a popular rapper in my group, and we kind of came together one day and did this project for a DJ on the radio by the name of late great Mr. Magic, who we give a lot of credit.
Rest in peace to Mr. Magic, of course.
Super rockin' Mr. Magic, and so Jalil hung out with Magic up at the radio station when he decided to do this thing where we created a commercial for the DJ.
Okay.
And sent it to him, and he played it on the radio. And he played it doing his show every night that he went on the air. And so it became a trend. So it started the thing where it became a contest where every month people would send in their tapes,
their jingles and things like that.
Just see which one made it onto the show
for
this week. And so that's how we got started in the business. That's how me and Jalil came together.
Okay. So it didn't start, the Whodini train didn't start with that. Or did it?
It did start the Whodini. It started us coming together as a group. Because again, we're coming from different groups and coming together to do this project. And once we did that project, it became kind of a popular tune on the radio, and which it was just a jingle, but everybody thought it was a record, so it was kind of gave us like hood props.
Right, I can dig that.
Back then, so a record label came and wanted to do a story, wanted to do a record about Mr. Magic. And at that time, Mr. Magic wasn't able to do the record, so he handed it to his man Jalil, and Jalil brought me to the project, and that was our first song. That was a song called Magic's Wand.
Okay, so how did the name of the group come to be?
We didn't think of the name. The record company came up with the name because I think originally we were supposed to be a studio group, and nobody was ever really supposed to know who Whodini was. It was just a record, but the record got popular.
Right.
And so then after that, the record company wanted another song.
Okay.
And that's when they brought us into the studio. It was a record company called Jive Records. We were like the first rap group on Jive Records. All the people out there that are familiar with Jive Records.
Yeah, most of us know today's Jive.
Jive Records, absolutely. But in those days, 1982, 1981, Jive Records was an imported company. So they were actually a company from South Africa, and they had studios in London.
Okay.
So, but when it came to America, it was distributed by Arista Records.
Okay.
And the king of Arista Records, the big CEO of Arista Records, was Clive Davis.
Clive Davis.
Which a lot of people don't know how instrumental Clive Davis was in, integrating hip hop into the music genre in the beginning.
Like Jive, well, to speak on Jive, like the roster at that time, if memory serves me correctly, it was not only you guys, it was also Boogie Down Productions.
That was a little bit later. That was a few years later. Also, Fresh Prince, Billy Ocean, who was our boy. If you know Billy Ocean, Caribbean Queen, and he's still out there. I check Billy Ocean if y'all don't know who that is. But very popular Caribbean artist at Jive. And we all used to meet up in London and do all our songs, like all the Whodini hit songs, all that stuff was made in London, man. They flew us to London to their studios and we did all that stuff there.
What were those sessions like?
Incredible, man.
Who was your engineer?
We had an engineer. For our first album, we had this rock and roll engineer. His name was Nigel Green. And he did a lot of the AC/DC kind of stuff and the Iron Maiden kind of stuff. And he came on over and gave us and lended his talent to us to do some hip hop. So that was kind of fun. And it gave us a different kind of a sound.
Right.
You know, the engineers and the technicians that we had used in that time wasn't really being used in hip hop a lot of the time. So that's why a lot of Whodini music sounds different.
Really big.
It's really big, really crisp, really sharp. But some of the people that we had worked with over there are some of the finest musicians in the world, you know, trying to make hip hop.
Nice. So you guys are breaking through. You guys are actually traveling. How old were you guys during this time?
I was 18, man. I was fresh out of high school, man.
Okay.
Just a baby, didn't know anything about the business, just kind of never been anywhere, just been in Brooklyn all my life, and all of a sudden flying over to London, and checking out the culture over there. So it was kind of fun. It was new and it was different.
Of course.
But that was our education. You know, we didn't go to university and get a college degree, but that was our education, just seeing the world and learning from that.
Do you feel like that experience of traveling from Brooklyn to London helped not just mold you guys as musicians, but to harden you guys as men being out on the road as musicians?
I think so. It made us stronger, it made us tougher, it made us more aware of our surroundings and different cultures and reaching different people. Now, because our record company was in London at the time, our first tour was a tour of Europe.
Right.
And a lot of the places that we toured didn't speak English at all.
Right.
And we had maybe one song, but we had to do an hour show in front of people that didn't speak English. So that was the ultimate training ground for us
as MCs.
As MCs, as entertainers, just, you know, getting experience. So by the time we got through that and we finally had a hit record or some heat here in America where we actually toured, we were so ready, man. We were so polished. We were so much more polished than everybody else. Because if you in Nazi Germany, I'm talking about, they still had the Berlin Wall.
Right, during this time,
When you go through that thing, they come on the bus and they looking at you and they shining the light in your face and looking at your passport and shining it in your face, and you got the guy in the tower with the machine gun. I mean, that was real.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So we had to go through that. So if you can make people there say ho and say ow and make them scream.
Right.
I mean, hey, by the time we got in front of our crowd here in America, man, we were so elated and we were so polished, and it showed.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm gonna get into my fan bag for a second.
Okay.
The Zorro hat, dog. Where did it come from? How did that become part of your style?
Okay. We were looking for something that when people immediately saw it, they would immediately identify that this is who we are. This is Whodini.
As a man that wears hats, I understand.
Absolutely.
Totally.
And so me and my twin brother Dynasty were walking down the street in Brooklyn on Myrtle Avenue, and we saw this hat in the window, and it was just a wool kind of leather, a wool gaucho. And I said, you know, that hat is nice, but it would be better if it was in leather. So we brought the hat, and I took it to a hat maker and told him and instructed him to make it for me in leather.
Right.
And so, and not only was the hat, I had the leather shorts, I had the boots. At the time in the early '80s, it was in style. We made it the style, okay?
Right.
I get clowned now when people see those pictures. They say, what was up with the shorts and the boots looking crazy? I said, back in the day, that was the style.
That was the costume.
Exactly.
Right.
So that was the thing. Just trying to find our own identity, to find a way to stick out in the crowd. Just when you saw it, immediately you would recognize us, and it worked. Really.
Yes, it did.
It really did.
It really did work. So your first charting hit. Well, you were talking. You alluded earlier about gaining heat here in the States while you were over in Europe. What song broke through to the States? Your first song.
Now, see, our first single was a song produced by Thomas Dolby. Now, I don't know if a lot of people know who Thomas Dolby is.
Blinded Me with Science.
Exactly.
Hyperactive, yes.
So, and if you listen to Magic's Wand. That's the name of that song, was Magic's Wand. That was the record about Mr. Magic. So Jive had created the track with Thomas Dolby in London, and they shipped the music to New York, and me and Jalil went in the studio, and we kind of like put down a rap to it. So, but we didn't actually get to meet Thomas Dolby until much later.
Right.
Okay. So, but that's how that came about. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Talking about when Whodini broke, first song that broke.
So, okay, but that did really well, like overseas and in the clubs, but not that radio banger that until we came out with Friends and 5 Minutes of Funk.
Right. So.
And that was 84, 1984.
Yes. Turbulent times in the 80s. How did that become such an anthem, you think?
First time, it broke, was it the summer? We always fantasize about making a summer jam.
Right.
And coming through the project, the summer jam is a jam that when you're walking through the projects, you hear it blaring from everybody's window.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make that record. So when we did 5 Minutes of Funk and creating that song, we had that vision in mind that we pictured it blaring from the windows of the projects as we walked through it on a summer's day. So we had that with 5 Minutes of Funk. 5 Minutes of Funk kind of laid the groundwork. And how we did it, we had an A and a B side. One side was Friends, the other side was 5 Minutes of Funk.
Yep.
Now remember we all know how popular rap is today. But back in 1983 and 84, the dilemma was radio stations played the instrumental side of the songs, and they were reluctant to play the vocal sides because they felt like, well, they just were reluctant. And so we had to fight that battle going to do all the radio, and there was no internet TV, there was no MTV or anybody playing records. The way we sold records, we used to go to the malls and to the mom and pop record shops, record stores, and sign autographs and take pictures and kiss babies. And that's how, and we got to get to platinum status doing that. Okay. So and also, so the mission was to kind of make records that were radio friendly, so that way radio stations would have no problem with turning it over and playing the vocal side. So that's the mission that we had. That's why our music is so kind of clean. It's not really profane or anything like that, because that's the battle we had to fight at that time.
Which brings me to one of my next questions, because the roster at Jive seemed to follow a specific formula. Capture radio first, then TV, then go on the road, and then that equals platinum status or gold status. Would you say that was a design decision created by the artist or issued by the label?
I think that there was the formula that was the label was responsible for. But you had to put yourself in position to really, like, they didn't really break records in the clubs. So that's why we had to make radio-friendly records. So that's what we tried to do at that time, because that was the formula. And radio records were songs that had no profanity, that didn't offend anybody, but that was still funky and clean enough for them to play on the radio. So that's why our music is really, really clean. You'd be like, man,
you're trying to break the before.
We wanted to curse, but we couldn't curse.
The before 6 o'clock rule.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So.
For those that don't know, the before 6 o'clock rule was back in this gentleman's day. Hip hop was not being able to be played before 6 p.m. in most, if not every market in hip hop's early radio days. And gentlemen like this guy and his group helped to break those barriers, and that's why we're here and you're able to hear it like 24/7 now because of this man's work. During that time, you were talking about going and doing tours and shows in Germany, and in particular Nazi Germany. So you guys were around when the Berlin Wall fell. How were those first shows afterward? Because when I think of it, I feel like it's akin to Motown breaking artists during the Jim Crow era, and then coming back post-civil rights era.
Well, I don't know if we got back after the Berlin Wall was was knocked down, but I can tell you that before they broke the wall down, it was like two separate countries. You know what I'm saying? The people that were on this side of the wall, they stayed on that side of the wall. The people that were on that side of the wall, they stayed on that side of the wall. But they all partied the same.
Ah, okay.
They all wanted to party. They all wanted to have a good time.
Right.
And really, you know, there was a lot of respect to the culture and to the genre of hip hop, of rap music in Europe before it was even here in America.
Okay.
They had hip hop charts. You know what I'm saying? And they had, you know, that you can see yourself climbing on the chart that we didn't even have in America yet. And
Right.
They would give them awards and that we couldn't get in America yet. We couldn't get Grammy awards. Whodini was in the era before they were giving like a lot of rappers Grammy awards. They were giving rappers their first Grammy awards and their first American Music Awards. And now it just seems like we have our own awards show. We have our own everything.
Right.
I just wish that, you know, the award shows now would just, you know, pay homage to some of the guys, not even for Whodini's sake, but just for the people that came before us.
Right.
That gave us this great gift of hip hop,
Yeah.
the culture, the music.
Right.
We know the guys that you see on TV every week, but what about the guys you don't see on TV as much that help open the door? I just think, you know, I would like to see more of acknowledgement of those people, those artists. With the culture today, because I feel like it feels like two separate cultures when it's really one.
One, right. You guys say which brings me to another point. 81 or 82, if I'm not mistaken. You guys got you, Whodini, Salt and Pepper, Public Enemy, a couple other groups got together and started boycotting the Grammys for lack of what you just spoke about.
Lack of representation.
Yeah, lack of representation. One, thank you. Two, how did you guys come to that decision instead of being like, you know, instead of it just being a, you know, we're mad and we're not going to take it anymore? How did it get to a point where you guys created, organized United Front to have these doors opened?
Back in the day, we had there was a forum at NYU, and MTV was there, and I think they were giving a forum with the students and some artists, and we were talking about, you know, why can't we get rap music on MTV? If it's music television, and I believe that hip hop was the newest form and the strongest form of music in the world. At that time, I believe that. I believe that. And today we know that to be true.
Yes.
But why can't we get played on MTV? Matter of fact, they weren't really even playing black videos on MTV. The only people that were playing on MTV at that time was Michael Jackson.
Right.
And then who broke the barrier was Run DMC when they did the record with Aerosmith, Walk This Way.
Right.
So that's when it started to change.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But this was before that. And that's, you know, and that was just giving us crumbs. But still, at the same time, on the music scene, hip hop was so powerful. It was a voice that could not be denied. It was coming up from the street, and it was nothing that nobody could do about it.
Right.
Even MTV had to eventually give in, but at that time, they would not play any rap videos. They would not play any black videos until Michael Jackson's Thriller and until Run DMC crossed over with the rock and roll band Aerosmith.
Right.
And that was the beginning of that.
We're going to take a small break.
All right.
And we'll take a small pause for the cause. This is Hip Hop 40. We're here, the one and only Ecstacy is here. We're going to pay some bills. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about the style. We're going to talk about touring. We're going to talk about the videos, because y'all know the videos have been crazy. So we'll be right back. This is Hip Hop 40 Live, y'all. We're still here in the studio. We got the one and only Ecstacy here on the couch with us. Sir, thank you so much for sticking around, man.
Hey,
you understand.
I'm happy to be here.
The hip hop fan to me is like trying hard not to geek out right now, but I appreciate you for bearing with me during this, man. I want to talk to you a little bit moving forward about the style.
Okay.
Is there a Whodini style?
I don't know if I can put it in the words. Yes and no, really. Our music, we always tried to rap over original music.
Right.
And that's what people liked about us, especially musicians.
Right.
You know, in the beginning of this hip hop hitting the world and the hip hop is touring, the funk bands didn't like us because they didn't like the rappers, and because the rappers was the new guys on the scene, and it was, you know, they were younger guys and the girlies, and they had the young population going after him. But they liked Whodini because Whodini's music was more melodic at the time, you know, and so they didn't like rap, but they liked Whodini, so they liked us.
Okay.
So that was kind of cool. So we were the kind of rap group that kind of bridged the gap a little bit between the bands and the rappers.
Absolutely.
So that was kind of cool. So that was our style. It was more melodic. It was also everybody's parents liked Whodini because they understood what Whodini was saying. And that was the thing. We don't understand what they're saying, so they didn't like him, but they knew they understood what we were saying, so they liked us more.
Right.
So we always had, you know, we might not have the backing of corporate America, but the fans always loved us.
Right. Because mostly it seems because, as you were talking about in the last segment, the grassroots approach. Right. The going out, you know what I mean, going to the store, shaking hands, kissing babies.
We always wanted to give the fandom more than what they bargained for, to give them their money's worth every time. Yeah. And that was our approach when we toured, and we kind of did the first hip hop kind of tour with the touring arenas and stuff like that, Fresh Festival in '84. And then we did the Raising Hell tour in '85, '86, and the Def Jam tour in '87. These was the early tours to hit arenas, because before that, they didn't know if hip hop could sell out arenas.
Right.
So somebody had to be the first bunch to go in there and try to do it. And we were lucky enough, fortunate enough to have that opportunity. So, yeah.
And now, we were speaking a bit earlier. You were talking about your NYU forum discussion and MTV being in attendance, and talking about how MTV wasn't playing rap music videos. You guys have made a point to give us as fans, I believe, some of the most insight of being on the road. Like we take the Freaks Come Out at Night video.
Absolutely.
It's a tour video.
It's a tour video.
You know, at that time, the only time us as fans could see those type of videos were rock videos. Right. You know, the rock bands got that treatment. You never got to see that treatment with the hip hop bands. Right. How did that happen? Was that during the Fresh Fest?
It was during the Fresh Fest, and the record company wanted to do a video, and we had the idea, well, let's do a live video at a live concert. Right. And I think we filmed it at about 2 or 3 different concerts we had that weekend going on. But the main thing was show the fans, man. Show the fandom, man. Show what this hip hop movement really is. Right. Show them how the people are dressing and how they're coming out in droves and how they're having a good time. And then we also had live vocals doing that video. And you never really have a video with live vocals, especially at that time in hip hop. So I think we definitely were the first to do it. At the same time, look who's in the video with us. We got cameos of Run DMC and cameos of Dynamic Breakers. At that time, the breakdancing scene was incredible. So we had breakers, we had little Jermaine Dupri with the Jerry curls in his head, and so just giving them all of that. Not only that video, some other videos we had cameos of a lot of actors, actresses and stuff. You'll see them in those videos saying, wow, was that so-and-so? Now they're big movie stars and accomplished artists now. But back then, you know, they were just starting out, so they were just in Whodini video. Malcolm Jamal Warner was in the Whodini video. Bobby Brown was in the Whodini video. Right after he broke away from New Edition, he was in the Whodini video. And the Beastie Boys was in the Whodini video. So just giving everybody little treats, because like that, I think that was the first time that something like that was being done. Now you take it for granted, cameo everybody in everybody video, but back in 1984, you know, it wasn't done until we did it. So it was fun. So we just try to always give everybody a little extra, man. Just a little extra.
I can dig it. And I know with the fun, there's a bit of seriousness, because you know, Jive is a label that's based out of South Africa, with studios in London. Right. So how did apartheid affect your business as a musician working for a South African music label?
It was tough because we had some issues about that. We had to have some conversations about that. And unfortunately, and I regret it, we never got a chance to go to South Africa and perform. And we always, I think that's one that I missed, an opportunity that I missed that I kind of regret to this day, not being able to go there. Just the uncertainty and just the uneasiness and so, but they treated us fairly, I guess. You know, we never got a chance to go over there. Every time we had an interaction with Jive, it was always through London. So we never got a chance to go over and really see. But they opened up another side of the country, of the world to us where we could see Europe.
Yeah.
And so we took advantage of that because, again, you know, some guys from Brooklyn just never been anywhere. So anywhere would have been an experience for us. So we kind of went to the Germanys and to the London and the Switzerland and the and the Italies and, and Paris, France's, and got the chance to see those scenes and see that culture and experience that. So that was our education that we took from just that experience with being with Jive Records and at one time, but they had grown off of this hip hop thing to one of the top record labels at the time in the world.
In the world, yep.
I mean, later on, do you know who was on Jive Records? I mean, New Kids on the Block and R. Kelly and Britney Spears and
Sync
and sing all these cats. I'm just saying.
Aaliyah,
Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Who else, man? I mean, okay, LeBert. I mean, yo, really. So, just I think because of the rap music thing, kind of gave them a credibility,
right?
You know, and it made it so that people kind of felt comfortable with going in that direction because they were doing this kind of thing with these three guys from Brooklyn. You know, damn, maybe that's where we need to kind of wind up. And it didn't hurt that we were managed by Russell Simmons.
Right.
So the combination of being managed by Russell Simmons and Jive Records, everything was kind of really in place to kind of do the kind of touring that we did early on in our careers and have the success. And I mean, if we could have friends, the popularity that it had grown and that it had gained back in '84, now with the social media and everything, we didn't have any of that. Like, is what I'm saying. Imagine where it could have been. So, you know what I'm saying? Just counting our blessings, man, and just saying, you know what I'm saying? We had a good time, man. It was really fun. And now, you know what I'm saying, I kind of like been in retirement from, I mean, Whodini still tours and does shows all the time and stuff like that, and that's great. But kind of retired from recording and being creative aspect of it until a friend of mine, a young man by the name of James Worthy. And James Worthy is like one of the top 10 hip hop producers in the game right now. So he works with everybody from Jaden Smith to Justin Bieber.
Right.
And he's doing finally his own project. You know, all producers, most producers want to be an artist at some point.
At some point, yes.
So this is his time. So he has a song called Move, and his producer of his album, Rob Beats, a guy who I've met through DJ Deltania Cannon, came and brought me the song and just said, you know, he asked me would I drop some vocals on this, and I said, well, I don't know, you know, hip hop is different today. Maybe you might want to get somebody else to kind of give it the flavor that you might, you know, that it might need to kind of take it where it want to go. But he said, no, I want you to kind of do you. That's what's going to keep it different. And when he said that, I said, okay, are you sure? Yes. I said, okay. So it made it easier for me. So I dropped about 8 bars on this song called Move, and it was really a nice song. So kind of came out of retirement to do that, and I kind of like it. So who knows? There might be something with Snoop down the road and somebody else down the road. Just kind of keep my one foot in, one foot out. Just, you know, because I've been doing this for so long. It just feels good now.
How does it feel to bring your pen out of retirement?
Scary.
Okay.
You know, and so many more people are looking and watching and critiquing.
Right.
You know, and then, you know, I'm not the old school guy that doesn't like the new school artists right now. I'm an old school guy that loves hip hop still today. All the artists out there.
Obviously.
I love them all. I love Nicki Minaj. I love Lil Wayne. I love Travis Scott. I love Drizzy. I love, you know what I'm saying? I love who everybody else love out there. So I love Cardi B. I love the Migos. You know what I'm saying? And when I'm in the gym in the morning, I got my Pandora on. I'm listening to hip hop all the way through my workout. But it's scary because it's a little different than what I did back in the day.
Right.
But I don't think that that's necessarily a bad thing. I just think it always evolves to something else.
Of course.
So it's evolved from 1984, 1985 to 2018. And so for me to try to get my feet in the water again, it's a little scary because I feel like I'm a little bit out of my comfort zone, but it's just because I haven't been doing it for a while.
I can dig it.
So now I'm back, and the experience was a great experience because it taught me a lot. And not to run away from the different opportunities. And I've had opportunities in the past to kind of do stuff, and I kind of was like not really sure of myself because I'm old. I'm 54 years old now. I got in this game when I was 18. Okay. That's generations. That's 30-something years in the game. When I graduated high school, I kind of went into this hip hop thing, you know. And so now, you know, I got my kids and my grandkids. And when I try to tell my kids, you know, back in the day, I used to be the shit, and I used to this and that. And they say, yeah, right, whatever. So it's nice, you know. Nowadays, I think about 10 years ago, we got a VH1 Hip Hop Honors. And a couple of months ago, we got a Black Music Honors. So it's great for that to come along in my life now. So that way, not so much for me, but for my kids to see it and let them see, you know, the contribution that their dad and their Uncle Jalil and have made in the music business, and just to get love and appreciation. So I'm thankful for that.
No doubt. Well, with all of these years of amassed wisdom, what would you pass on to young hip hoppers coming in?
Respect the game, you know, and what the kind of music or the kind of mindset or space that you're in now, 10 years you're going to be in a different space. In 5 years you're going to be in a different space, and go to that space because it's all evolution. It's just you're just growing as an artist, as a person in life. So don't be scared to make those changes, make those moves and changes in your life, because life is just a series of just phases. You know what I'm saying? And we speak about whatever phase that we're in right now. So when I'm rapping right now, I might not be rapping about One Love or Freaks Coming Out at Night, but I might be rapping about what I'm going through in my life right now, and that's just the evolution, and that's just the process. It's all about life. It's all related to life. So don't be scared to dare to be different and to challenge yourself. Always challenge yourself.
Okay. And with regards to the nuts and bolts of it, things such as publishing and things like that.
Take care of your publishing. Hey, we got beat down a little bit on that too in the beginning, not knowing everything about our publishing. So I think, you know, that is very important. Get your credit for your writer's credit. Come down on your education on your publishing. Get that money, and it's even more money now with the internet and everything. So it's very important. So you definitely got to stay on top of that. So
thank you so very much for the words of wisdom, and thank you so very much.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Ecstasy, ladies and gentlemen. Make some noise for him, y'all.
I did it, Brooklyn. I did it.
This is Hip Hop 40. We're going to be back with our final thought, and we'll see you guys in a little bit. Peace.